As we get to Vault 15, I want to highlight this little town map screen that every location has. Each one sets sort of a vibe for the place you're going into. With Vault 15 being sort of these like schematics, setting the vibe that like, hey, this is a tech-oriented place, and you know these detailed schematics show that it was maybe it's pre-war, maybe it's preserving old tech. So that's kind of cool. Every town has it and sort of sets a vibe. In Vault 15, we'll find obviously more rats, and then after killing them, we'll run across a ruined elevator shaft. If we use our rope on the shaft, we can climb down to the floor below. Again, using random items on arbitrary things used to be a core component of adventuring games back in the day. So at the time, this would have been a pretty obvious thing to do. However, if you're not used to those old games, this kind of mechanic is basically a hard lock to progress. So the first two games, weirdly enough, are age-gated. Essentially, warning, Fallout 1 and 2 should not be played by anyone younger than 30. Younger players do not have the learned gaming skills needed to play Fallout 1 and 2. And this is where we can talk a little bit about a really clever piece of game design in Fallout 1. If you rush to Vault 15, you can't get into the elevator without rope. So the game kind of forces you to go to Shady Sands and find one. Where you as the player are going to have to solve the problem without a big glowing location markers and baby level quests like barter for rope with Mark. It's an ingenious way of guiding the player without directing the player, which is something that we see less of in newer gaming, and I blame Halo for this on the abstract. Anyway, at the lowest floor of the vault, which is completely abandoned, gutted, and ruined, we'll find a big old mole rat.
You already know what happens when someone is shot in the head.
Get what you fucking deserve!
They die. On the surface, yes, a headshot is a fatal wound.
And confirmation that we're not getting a water chip here, buddy. So with really only one stop on our map, it is time to head back to Shady Sands. So Buster, armed with a better gun and armor, made short work of the rad scorpions. He also met Tandy for the first time before leaving our town. Remember Tandy? Tandy is incredibly important to Fallout lore, but she's not important right now.
Yeah, well, you don't live here.
Buffy, having helped out before, learned that Tandy had been kidnapped by raiders. So it's time for a valiant rescue. And before we get to the raiders, it's time for a really clever piece of world building. Fallout in the first game is now setting the expectation of the player that things are time gated. Certain things happen at certain areas or certain events. So, for example, you won't learn that Tandy gets kidnapped unless you go to Shady Sands and then come back or hang out for a while. If you go there once, grab a few things, and then leave, you'll probably never encounter the quest line. So you need to be thorough, and you need to come back, and you need to see things at different times. Exploring the game in every different capacity does yield benefit. All right. So let's go off and have this rescue. Our heroes convene at the camp of the Khans, but with drastically different intentions. Buster, having no idea that these guys are raiders, went up to the guy in charge and asked the big questions.
Where and how can I volunteer?
And after a pretty simple task, he was told to just fuck off. So he did. Buffy, however, needed to save Tandy. Little editor's note here, I died a bunch. I'm torn between just montaging every time I died for laughs or focusing on the narrative of the story. I suppose this time I'm showing the full success. But, you know, the things can change. So how do we break this gal out? Well, we can barter for her, but where's the fun in that? Here's my master plan. Step 1, arm the TNT in my inventory and set the timer for 1 minute. Step 2, steal the literal ticking time bomb into the inventory for the guards. Step 3, take cover and wait. Step 4, get bored and see what's going on. And see the guard who didn't explode. And step 5, get exploded. Okay. Well, all right. Not great, but hold on, not dead. Upside, get the armor from the blowed up corpse. When you blow someone up, they drop their armor in Fallout 1. Don't know why that is? Do like free armor. Step 7, lockpick the cell Tandy is in and just run out through the back door.
Oh, it's you again. Are you gonna get well? What's your plan? That's it?
Quickly return Tandy and head for the next stop south.
I will be forever in your debt for your courage and bravery, Wanderer. Until we meet again, my friend.
So here we're just going to see Buffy footage because Buster never went to Junktown. I don't mean like I didn't get the footage. I don't mean like he didn't go right away. With Buster's playthrough, I literally never went to Junktown. I just dodged it. He's currently in the hub, a later town, so we'll see what that little rapscallion is up to then. All right, so here we are in Junktown. First person you meet is Killian, where we'll scroll endlessly through the massive single column inventories to enact a tedious barter transaction. Again, if I have any complaints with Fallout 1, it's that this barter screen is just such a mess. It's got one column of icons, you're matching values to the number or close to it. And like when I was a kid, this was fine. It was a neat way of doing things, but like it has not aged well. All right, as a goody two-shoes, obviously, I'm going to frame the bad man and get the evidence on the bad man. And on my way to Gizmo, I'm just going to take the quest here to get this dog away from this guy's house, which I'll do by killing the dog. That seems pretty easy. It's just a dog. Now, this dog is the first appearance of Dogmeat, a noted Fallout legend. And instead of watching me murder a companion, it's time for everyone's favorite segment, the Fallout Fun Fact Folder. The leather armor in Fallout 1 and 2 is based off of the costume Mel Gibson wore in The Road Warrior, which is Mad Max 2. In that movie, Mad Max is accompanied by a dog. The design of Fallout 1 is such that when you first encounter Dogmeat, you should have on the leather armor that you found in Vault 15, and the dog will think of you as its former owner, Mad Max, and join you. However, I didn't have on the leather armor, so this little Cujo gets Old Yeller. Those are movie dog references, so you're just going to have to keep up here. Look, we've all seen every Fallout 1 review or long play video, so you know all about the Gizmo shit. I'm not going to get into it, but here's the real deets on Junktown. Did you know that the hospital is harvesting flesh from cadavers and selling them to the iguana on a stick vendor in the hub? You can find out about it here, and then later extort the poor vendor for free caps. Did you know that out past the scum pit, there's a little ring where you can bet on fights? The guy fights a giant mole rat, and I lost my money on that bet. If you stay overnight in the motel, you can enter a hostage negotiation, and there's an entire pseudo quest line hidden with the Skulls, another gang in town. But Zoomers don't know any of this because there isn't a literal cutscene that plays Subway Surfers in half the screen, and then gives you the objective with a massive green arrow while the dialogue is played at 3 times speed. Anyway, heading south from Junktown, we find another new place, the Hub, where our stories meet once again in part 3.